Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Dog Talk. This is episode 75A.
I'm Cam and this is Julie.
Yes.
We are outside in the cold 35-degree weather with the hint of wind. So, but it's a beautiful day.
Yes,
so,
it is.
Welcome to our neighborhood.
In our neighborhood. That's what I was going to say. In our neighborhood.
And we are dealing with Genesis 37 to 40:23. A lot to talk about. I think last year we talked about the different levels in which we have scripture, and meaning you could talk about it on the surface level of exactly what happened, and then you could talk about it as it keeps getting deeper and deeper, and it pertains to the future and the past and all the different integral details to it. We're today going to just pick up a few little nuggets and also look at some of the bigger picture, since that seems to be our theme this year.
It does.
I know. Well, I think what's happened is the more and more information we get, the more and more we're learning the patterns, the easier they are to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that this year, the reason why we're seeing it is because it's becoming even more and more pertinent. The bigger picture for this week is that we're really, again, seeing that separation more and more. Remember, we talked about last week where we're seeing the northern kingdom, southern kingdom being set up that they're going to separate.
Right.
Well, now you're seeing, I believe, in this week, between what happens with Joseph and then Judah, because we have chapter 37, 39, and 40 all about Joseph, but then there's that 38 about Judah.
About Judah, right.
And I really see this as, okay, so while Joseph in 37 has been taken, Joseph's been taken, in 38 we're seeing what Judah's doing. See, Messiah came, he was in the pit for 3 days, he rose again, right? And in a way, he was sold. He was sold away from Israel, from his brothers.
To the Gentiles.
Right, to the Gentiles. So what's happening during that time? We see in 38 where Judah is... well, basically, he hasn't left the land. Realize Joseph, the northern kingdom, has left the land, has exited the building, right?
Right.
But Judah's not left. He's still there. Yet he's chasing after what he shouldn't be. He's chasing after Canaanite women. And then after that, he chased after the cult prostitute, who ends up, by the grace of God, being his daughter-in-law. And through his actions, not knowing, he's actually going to rectify the problem that Tamar had. When we see Judah again, all that's behind him. He's had the child with Tamar. The twins are there. That's done. It's time to move forward, and that forward is the moving into bringing them back into one, right? Reconciling the north and the south.
The north and south.
Yes. So you really see again. I go back to where are we in the time? I just think that's where we are. We're seeing that coming.
Spiritual rectification of the north and the south is going on right now.
Right, exactly. And it can't be spiritually until Messiah comes, but you've got to have physically. Thank you. Can't have it physically done until Messiah comes. But man, there's a lot of that's got to take place to allow that to successfully bond, I guess you'd say.
Right.
So let's go on and start in 38. So we see again, like we said, where Judah is out looking for the Canaanite. All right. Well, obviously the Lord is not going to allow a Canaanite to come in
and be in the line.
Right, to be in the line. So he has 3 sons with him, and the first son, who is he marries Tamar, who is she's not Canaanite. Okay, she's just not Canaanite. She doesn't belong to land, but she's there. Some say that she is the daughter of a priest, possibly from Abrahamic line. We don't know. But regardless, she is not Canaanite. And that's the significant part. It's okay that she's not Hebraic. She just can't be a Canaanite. Right. She can't be from that curse line that's got to get out. So we have her. She marries is an evil. The Lord's like, get him out. Because the Lord's like, I'm not having the seed of continue on with the line. Right. So he goes out. So now we have Onah. All right. Well, Onah's wicked too. Remember, he selfishly refuses to give a child for So the Lord takes him out. And then, Judah's a little concerned. He's like, I'd like to keep my last son if I could. All right.
Right.
But again, the Lord wants to make sure that it's bypassed from that Canaan line. We had the idea where once the wife dies, she's dead, so he's not cheating. His wife is dead. And then he goes and he sees the prostitute and comforts himself, which I didn't get that, but whatever. So he goes into her. One thing that's interesting is Tamar is not there to be a prostitute. She put on the clothes for the point to go and spy. She wanted to see Judah and see his son. Because it says when she saw him, she saw that the son was
grown.
Yeah, it was grown. Should have already been given to her. She understood that. Yet, she does not proceed to introduce herself. She doesn't do anything. She's just watching. She's going to allow the Lord take care of it. And then all of a sudden, here comes her father-in-law. However, when we go and look at what's happening with Joseph, in the next chapter, 39,
Same thing.
But here we have the woman chasing Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because if you look at the first and second time that Messiah comes, first through the line of servant, right, like like Joseph, then the second as Judah, as the king, okay?
Right.
The king comes looking for his bride.
Mm-hmm.
But when he first comes, he doesn't. Think about the Samaritan woman. She's looking for him.
Right.
I'm not making us all Potiphar's wife.
Right.
We're trying to take advantage.
But if we don't want to heed the words of the Lord, then really we are like Potiphar's wife because we want to take him by force.
Yes.
And we want to do what we want with him.
Exactly.
And that's what we've done,
yes.
right?
Yeah, exactly where I was
Sorry,
going.
I was
No,
stole
that's
it.
great. That's fantastic. That's
kidding.
exactly what happened. And even after that, what's she all mad about in 39? That Hebrew.
Yeah.
That Hebrew that won't. Well, isn't that what happens
That
when
won't
we're
compromise.
Yes, when we're presented with who Messiah really is.
Yeah.
That Hebrew that doesn't compromise.
Mm-hmm.
We get mad.
Yeah.
And then we have to make that choice. We either have to say, I'm keeping him and I'm going to go like Psalms 45. I always say that, but I'm going to become like my father and my groom. Or, no way, get out and go to jail. I'm going to keep what I like, what I have, this false God.
And then we lie about him, like she did.
Yes, we tell everyone, look what this one did. Look at that Hebrew one. He's going to make you go under all these rules and stone your children and whatever else.
Right.
But this one over here.
We twist it.
Yes, this one over here is going to give me everything I want. So back to Judah and Tamar. So she gets pregnant, right? She's held onto these things to be able to go, whose are these? Which takes you right back to what the boys did when they brought the jacket to Jacob and said, whose jacket is this? We do not know. Right. She does the same thing. She sends it, whose is this? Mm-hmm. He's got to fess up. But what's really interesting is she has twins. The job of what Onan was to give offspring for her to present a son for the first, for Ur.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do it. Here we have Judah giving her twins. So she literally met the offspring for Ur in the name of Ur, and then the second one for the name of Judah. Mm-hmm. The second one for the name of Judah. Do you remember? The second one is who we see in Ruth. And the second one in Ruth is the one we see, may he be blessed like. The second child. The child who's in the namestead of Judah, not the child who's in the namestead of Ur. Because Ur was wicked. But the Lord still honored that Levitical marriage idea.
Right.
By allowing her to have two sons.
He kept up his end.
Yes. And it also meant that she had no business to be with the third child. There was no reason for her to have a child because Judah took care of both ends. And the Lord allowed her to be taken care of, but also allowed the line to remain pure.
To me, that just says that his law stands no matter who you are.
Yes, it does. That's a great example. And we know that by the fact that in Joshua, or Judges, whichever it is, I can't remember, but where they make the covenant with the people they weren't supposed to, and the Lord's like, no, it's got to stand.
Yeah.
He still let them.
Yeah, and then in Leviticus, he talks about, the people that are in the land now, the Amorites.
Right.
They are going to get kicked out because they're not doing what they're supposed to. They're sinning.
Right.
And the land, you can't defile the land like that, which is, this week is in Amos, and it's the same thing. Amos is prophesying to the northern kingdom. Look, the same thing's about to happen to you.
Right. Yeah,
because you're not doing. The point is, his law is his law no matter what, no matter who you are in his land.
Yeah.
So I think about that for today with the Palestinians and the Jews, both there vying for the land.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. His law is law for the land.
Right.
Who's going to uphold it?
Yeah.
That's who's going to
Who
get
gets
it.
to stay? Ooh, that's good. That's
The rest
good.
will be vomited out.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
That's what he said. So let's jump back to 37 and look at this real quick. There's a few nuggets that we want to grab a hold of. One is where we see in 37, 2 through 4, there's this, I think, a progression. But let's look at verse 12 where it says, his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. All right. There is in Hebrew, the flock is actually sheep. There's an olive tav, okay?
Ooh, okay.
But there are teeth marks, the dots over the olive tav, just like there are when Esau hugs and kisses. You see their brothers who are there keeping their father's sheep with this almost vengeance idea. And I say vengeance because I can't think of another word. Something's not going to go right. It's going to go awry. And this is in the Hebrew foreshadowing. They're going back to Shechem where problems were. They've got their father's sheep, but not good. Yet when you go down to 16, it says that he's looking for his brothers. It says, please inform me where they are feeding their sheep. When I'm reading this, all I can think of is Ezekiel 34, where the shepherd comes looking for his sheep, but he finds the other shepherds are taking them astray. They're not where they're supposed to be. They've gone down. They've gone down south. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They've moved.
They're not doing their father's work. They're doing their own work.
Exactly. And that's the shepherds are leading them astray. They're feeding them wrong. Okay. Then when Jacob goes looking for them, we go straight into Matthew 21, where it talks about how the father sends his son to the vineyard, right, to speak, and they see him coming and they're talking about how they can kill him.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what we have
Yes.
here, and they want to kill him. But again, it goes back to the sheep, what they're doing with the sheep. I mean, like I said, there's just such a bigger picture here. What are they doing? Messiah is coming back to call the sheep. He was going there to check on them, to call the sheep, his father's sheep, not theirs. And then we have, the whole selling them.
So Messiah, we're waiting for Messiah to come back. And when he comes back, we want him to find people who are feeding the father's sheep his way.
What's he
not
saying?
their own way for their own gain.
Right. In John 21, he tells Peter to what?
Feed my sheep. Right. Not your sheep.
Right.
They're not
Feed
yours.
my
It's not your
sheep.
flock. It's my flock.
He's like, okay, start again. Let's see if we can keep it right on the right track, which we haven't. We're back to the other shepherds have taken his sheep and are feeding them incorrectly. And Messiah is going to come back again as that shepherd and bring them under his wings like he wanted to before, but couldn't. He's going to successfully do that when he returns. The last real point I wanted to make, who knows what we'll go from here, but the last point I'm shooting for is in 39.
You act like we get sidetracked.
I know. In 39, we see this event with Potiphar's wife. And it kind of goes, I do want to say two things, because I got to say something about 40. Yeah. So in here we see the whole thing with Potiphar's wife. But listen, in 39:1, it says that Potiphar is the captain of the guard. But then when you go over to chapter 40, verse 3, it says, and he put them in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard.
So he's in Potiphar's house?
He's in Potiphar's prison. He went from the house to
the
work.
prison.
Yes. He never, ever moves masters.
Oh, wow. I never saw that before.
He stays under the same master. I know. I was reading. I was like, wait a minute.
It's
the same word.
Yeah.
Wait. And I realized that's just it. He gets so mad he can't have him at home. But look, in chapter 39, where we see he gives the prison, or 23, it says, the prison warden did not look into any point that was under Joseph's hand because Yoveh was with him. And whatever he did made him prosperous. Well, we have that in 39, where in 39:6, Potiphar's talking about the same thing. I don't even worry about it. I just worry about the bread I have. He doesn't worry because he's just moving them from one position to the other. It's all by the Lord's hand because he's got to move them to be there for what? So he can meet the two guys brought into prison for the cupbearer and for the bread bearer. But I kind of get on the bigger picture. So we see him in prison, and each of theirs was 3 days, right? He knew in 3 days they were going to be called up, all right? So in 3 days they're called up. Well, that helps us think about what? It helps us think about in the grave with Messiah. In 3 days, he was up. But the end of that story isn't in 3 days he rose. See, it is really in 41:1 that I think it all clicks. In 41:1 it says, and it came to be at the end of 2 years' time. Because remember, the cupbearer goes up and he forgets. That's the end of chapter 40. He doesn't remember to tell him, to mention his name at all. Joseph's just like, bleep, not even there. All right, so it's the second year. So let's look at 2 days. He's been in the grave. He's come back. On the second day, in Hosea, at the end of Hosea 5, and Hosea 6, 1 through 2 or 3, it talks about how on the second day he heals us, and on the third we're raised.
Right.
Okay. Well, there has to be this process. You see, it wasn't time he was being held. Messiah, once he rose again, he was being held. Look at the times now. Now's the time, we're in that second day. He is healing us. But we're not raised until the end. Well, this is what happens here, I think. We see in the bigger, it's Joseph is pulled out after 2 years, that second day, because now it's time to start putting things in motion so that we can have Israel and his sons come back up so that we can start to reunite.
Yes.
But that's
physically.
Yes, physically. And that ends on that third day. Well, that's when already the 7 years of good and the 7 years of bad had happened, right? Or we're in the middle of that bad, right? It's a process. And I see this. It wasn't time for Joseph to be understood as coming out. But it is here. And remember, the story that Joseph says, or it's not story, but what he tells him is like to the cupbearer, I was stolen. I was stolen. He says that in 40:15. I was stolen. Messiah was stolen from his Hebrew. He says, I was stolen from the land of the Hebrews. Messiah was stolen from the Hebrews.
Yes.
But that second day, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Because on the third day, he's got to be in the right position to bring in his brothers. I mean, I just see it all over. And we're so in that second day.
So where are we at? Yeah, the second day.
We're in that second day. Getting
healed.
Getting healed and getting closer and closer to that third day. And it's the third day is a long process. It is also a period of time, whether we're on the cusp of the third day, or I don't know, but I know we're definitely in the point
healing.
In the healing and setting up so that when Messiah is fully seen, he's understood as from the land of the Hebrews.
Yes.
And can be embraced.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today for all the goodies. We hope that you will enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you on the flip side with Julie and the prophets. Shalom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we sure do appreciate you being with us on this fine, weathery, warmish, not really day. We hope that
it's not warm at all.
No, not at all.